Josh, you say the packaging is the new interface. I mean, what does that mean in plain English? And why does it even matter?
Interface is a techie word, but interface is like the screen of your computer or your iPad or your iPhone or your smart glasses. I don't look at this as a bottle of water. I look at it as the future magazine or even the iPhone because it's connected to the internet. And so when you make a product, when you make a killer product that people can't live without, like the iPhone, for example, or ChatGPT, eventually tech companies end up making an app store, right? But you could, in theory, live without your iPhone. It might suck, it might be inconvenient, but you could live without it. But food, water, medicine, electricity, clothing, blankets, diapers, these are things that people can't live without. And so when this model scales, you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see people evolve app stores. You're going to see people connect augmented reality to everything. And so the packaging is the new interface. It's a gateway to everything on the internet.
Appreciate you bringing that down for me. Okay, so here's another one I need some little bit of clarity on. What's a BVRE product versus an AVRE product? And like, how do you determine which one to start with?
BVRE stands for below the value of the real estate, and AVRE is above the value of the real estate. I probably could have created better names for it. So FreeWater is an example of below the value of real estate, meaning the physical real estate is worth more than the entire supply chain. That's the bottle, that's the spring water, that's the purification, the packaging, profit, distribution, donation to charity. This works for countless products. But what it doesn't work for is a product that we can't physically advertise on, like a can of actual Pepsi. Pepsi won't let us put ads on it yet. Or a piece of salmon, right? Like a $20 piece of fancy salmon, you can't even put an ad on it and make it free. And so what you need to do is you need to add another layer, whether it means I watch a few ads in my phone, maybe I make a social media post for whatever, I put in the work. And by putting in the work or putting in the time, you get a credit. Now that credit could just be cash, it could be crypto, it could be whatever, but it pays for that other category. And so again, let's say I watch 4 videos in my iPhone, and now I've got $1 worth of store credit. I go to the supermarket, they scan that can of Coke or Pepsi, boop, and they say you owe $1, and now I pay. Now that can of Pepsi is free, paid for with these digital ads, right? Or same thing, I do that a little bit more, and then boop, now I could pay for that piece of fish, or my Uber ride, maybe my Uber ride is $9 or whatever. And so BVRE is the FreeWater category of products. It's like a billboard, the billboard covers everything. AVRE is for the product you can't do that with, maybe an iPhone.
Appreciate you clearing up that acronym.
But just to say, BVRE is easier to get into, but if you're really technical and have a great dev team, AVRE is easier to scale. Because once you implement it correctly, now I could get a bunch of credits, I could walk into Walmart, Target, Costco, go to McDonald's, and now boop, 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 everything becomes free or negatively priced.
All right, it just went from SOL to LFG, Josh. All right, okay. I think this is something that we definitely, people definitely want to be able to understand better because it is a big core principle. How can free products actually donate to charity and still be profitable?
I mean, we went over it. The ads are worth more than the entire supply chain. So our prices with FreeWater are based off of quantity. If I order less from the manufacturer, we pay more. If we order a bunch, we pay less. But let's say the average price per unit is about 70 cents. You know, unless we made a really big order, that if we ordered in the millions, this is going to be like 40 cents, 50 cents, right? But average price about 70 cents. We give 10 cents or more to charity. And then in the past, we were charging extra, so the FreeWater team and company was making a profit, 30%. We would sell this for about $1. But ad agencies who are really cool, high-powered middlemen, I've seen them sell the ad space for up to $2 a can. And so there's a lot of room for profit in there. But we're going to remove the profit as we evolve into a nonprofit and just give more to charity.
You know, I was taking a look at the book, and one of the things that you talked about in there that I found interesting, you said that about turning every 6-pack or 12-pack into a bundle of targeted ads. So how does that actually work?
Instead of just giving out single bottles in the future, it's much more efficient to send you 12 packs to your house. And when you open that 12 pack, you're going to see, like this Netflix bottle just has one ad, it's for Netflix, but, and this Mr. Beast one, it's just one ad for their nonprofit, but you're going to see 12 different bottles, one ad to 6 to 12 ads per bottle, just for you. And so if it was just this Netflix ad, Netflix isn't going to let me send you a 24 pack of just, they might give you 1, 2, or 3 bottles, but they're not going to let me give you 24 Netflix one. And so that's why it's important to have these individualized, customized 12 packs or 24 packs, 6 packs, you name it. But it also makes it easier for advertisers, because if you ordered just one ad and let's say 10,000 bottles, you're on the hook for a big ad order. But if you just got, let's say, one fraction of this label, like 1/6 of the real estate here, and you just did that one bottle per 24 pack, next thing you know, you could ante up for like $100 or a $50 ad order. And so those mixed 12, 24 packs, it allows you to send more free products to people. It allows you to do a lot more, but it also lowers the threshold for advertisers to get involved too.
In the same vein, in that same chapters talk about that, you mentioned consecutive delivery and how it could change how products are distributed in the future. How does that work?
So when a product's free or negatively priced, everybody becomes a customer. We could just drop off the 24 pack at your house, and then the neighbor's house, and the neighbor's house, and the neighbor's house, unless somebody opted out and said, please don't send me free stuff. But then you just skip them. But think about how efficient that is. You manufacture it locally, and you deliver it house after house after house after house. Every house will get different ads because it's just for them. Compare that to Amazon. You can't do that with Amazon because their products cost money. I would wager that in the whole history of 30 years of existence of Amazon, they've probably never distributed to 4 houses in a row because they can't force you to shop, right? But the moment you have one free product or negatively priced product or more, you could do this consecutive delivery thing. Even better, you just had, the metal bottles without the label, and you could print it in the truck. We call that a printing truck in the future. And so now you've taken the warehouse and you've put the warehouse in the truck, and you're printing targeted ads and just dropping off house after house after house. And then why stop there? Why not put ads on the truck? And now the truck doesn't cost any money. And so the truck can be negatively priced too. So today, Amazon or Pepsi or Apple are spending money on trucks, but in the future, the truck is going to pay them to make delivery, right? And so it's a completely different ballgame. In one hand, they're paying for trucks. In the future, the trucks are going to pay you to use them. And one hand, they're doing like sparse delivery here, 20 miles there, instead of localized consecutive delivery.
This word delivery keeps on coming up. And in the book, you talk about using products like FreeWater to deliver emergency information, especially like during a disaster crisis.
You don't have to print ads. You could print messages from nonprofits, governments, the whole 9 yards. Whenever there's a big disaster, for example, the very first thing that people get when you lose your house or whatever, they're going to probably put that blanket over you, and they're going to hand you a bottle of water or food, right? But instead of it saying Dasani on the bottle, it should have all the important life-saving information, here's the hospital, here's where your supplies are, scan this QR code to get this access, or scan this QR code to give the government or nonprofit information they don't have. It's not marketing. It's just put the life-saving information right on the packaging.
I think that's noble. That's awesome. What another great use that people haven't thought of. I know I didn't. All right. So please explain this to me. Why do you think reusable glass bottles are so powerful for building long-term brand loyalty? I do want to hear a little bit more on this.
We started with aluminum bottles and paper cartons because they were the greenest packaging that we had access to in the United States. Unfortunately, reusable glass bottles don't really exist in the USA anymore. versus like every other country in the world, the glass is much thicker and it gets washed and reused. And so most people have heard the term like circular economy, right? Yeah, a reusable glass bottle initially costs more than this aluminum bottle, but if you get it back locally and you clean it, you pull the label off, and then you put a new label back on it, the price goes through the floor. So once that reusable bottle gets used 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 50 times, maybe in a rare case, I don't know, 100 times, it's practically free. It actually, the packaging could be negatively priced too. And you just can't do that with this aluminum bottle, no matter how much I love it. And the glass bottles don't have any microplastics. Even in this aluminum bottle, there's a very thin BPA-free plastic lining, right? So it's got far fewer microplastics than a plastic bottle, but there's still some plastic in there. And the future is reusable glass whenever you can. And you just use it over and over again. You distribute it locally, consecutively with targeted ads on it. You pick it up, you bring it to a local recycling center, you clean it, you do everything locally, and you dish it back out over and over and over again.
So let's stay on the topic of global and cultural reach. One of the things that I love about you are during your travels of like working with refugees and building water wells and things like that. I think that, I love how that's baked into the culture of your company. Why do you think free products like FreeWater and free companies that you're talking about work even better in developing countries than in rich ones?
Less red tape, and they appreciate it more. And you could do things in let's say India. I use India a lot because it's just the models being used there over and over and over again. For example, in America, everything's palletized. But we want to ship out, 70 24 packs. That's the size of our pallet, and that's got to be lifted in a forklift and then put in the big rig truck. I'm seeing companies in other countries, they don't even use pallets a lot of times because you have access to more affordable labor. So they're just having their employees go manually fill up the truck, manually make the mixed 24 packs, manually do things in those countries that I couldn't do in this country because I can't afford to pay someone that wage. Or also, in order to automate it and in order to make individualized, customized mixed 24 packs here in America, that's millions and millions and millions of dollars for those machines and tech, versus in countries with less red tape, they do it manually, wrap plastic or put in cardboard box that 24 pack, and out it goes. Like they could just do things that I couldn't do in a million years here.
Some of the things that piqued the interest in the book, you talk about some of these micro and macro economic principles. And one of the things you talked about is you recommend adjusting donation amounts based on GDP. So tell me, why is that important and how do you keep it fair?
We just wanted to make a guideline if someone wanted to make a negatively priced product over a free product. If you're in a wealthier country with a big ad industry, I recommend the minimum donation is 10 cents. We proved it. That's where we started here. If you were in like a midway GDP, I don't know, let's say like Brazil, start with free plus 5 cents. And if you're in a country with a really tiny GP, start with free plus 2 cents. But that's the floor, and we already proved it with negative 110% off, but I mean, if you look at these Mr. Beast waters, these are negative 130% off, and I see a future world where products are negative 195% off, meaning it's free and gives 95 cents to charity, maybe even dozens of dollars to charity, depending on the tech and the revenue you bring in. And so it's just the floor. It's just a guide. If you want to be negatively priced, start there.
You've trekked this world, crisscross, Italy, Sicily, Cambodia, Serbia, Bosnia, Africa. So in all your travels, what's one cultural insight you've learned from launching this idea in other countries?
Everybody thinks things like water should be free.
Amen.
And depending on the culture of the religion, it could be baked into their religion even. Giving someone water is giving them life. And so every culture is different, but that's what I've seen is the act of giving somebody something for free that's beneficial, it's universally loved and appreciated.
Yeah, that's awesome, Josh. Couldn't say that better. All right, let me kind of shift gears here a little bit. What makes the ad space on free products more valuable than a Facebook or Google ad?
It's not necessarily more valuable, it's different. Every ad medium is a tool for a different type of job. There's certain jobs that a free slice of pizza or free water will do better than a Facebook or Google ad. But I don't look at it's not like one or the other, right? A really smart founder is gonna bake Google and Facebook ads and social media posts and everything else into the free water. Because like a full suite ad agency typically doesn't offer one ad medium, they offer a full suite of ad mediums, and they manage it, they produce the content. And so when you do it right, you'll bake all those ad mediums into your free waters too. I don't want to say do it right, but if you want to do it at a higher level. An example is, let's say there's a high-end clothing shop and you walk in there and maybe the customer got to the high-end clothing shop because they saw a Facebook or Google ad, and that brought you into the store. But what this free product's going to do is it's going to keep you in the store for longer, and you're going to have your best deal right here. But maybe they go in there, they look at the diamond rings or whatever, and then they leave, and they take this with them. The average person's going to have one of these waters with them for a minimum of an hour, but sometimes years. Like some of the QR codes were scanned up to 2 years later. I don't know, it ended up in their fridge or whatever, so then they scan that QR code. And if you do it right, well, then they scanned it. Now I'm going to retarget them with more Facebook and Google ads and get them back into the shop again. So you could go low tech, you could go high tech. I think that it really works well if you evolve into like a full suite ad agency and you bundle them all together.
The conversation of merging technology with ads, you mentioned QR codes. So taking AR and QR codes on packaging, all right, what's the coolest thing someone could experience from scanning a bottle?
I mean, anything on the internet. I could scan the bottle and it could lead to an augmented reality portal to a different dimension, right? I mean, it's anything on the internet. It could lead you into any app store, Roblox, video games, you name it, a contest, a lottery. Mr. Beast uses QR codes on Feastables so people could win like new cars or millions of dollars. It's anything on the internet, whatever they could think of.
Well, how would a QR code turn a free product into an online shopping experience? Can you explain that flow?
Yeah, let's say if this was an ad for clothing and whatever, you'd scan this QR code and it might take you to Amazon or their online store for the product on the can.
I was reading further along there, and please explain this to me a little. You talk about multi-layered ad systems. How many layers can a single product actually have?
Three layers. You've got the physical packaging, you've got the QR code, and you've got augmented reality. And if you do it best, you're going to bake all three of those layers into any physical product. But inside of those layers, there's other layers behind the scene. For example, you might eventually create a bidding system so advertisers are going to bid on the physical packaging. The QR code could unveil anything on the internet, and the augmented reality goes beyond that. But if you baked in a high level of customization or AI, every time I scan that QR code, I'll get a different something that I want, right? Or every time I launch that augmented reality, it could be a completely different experience based off of the things I like.
I was in the warehouse and you were giving me a walkthrough, and I saw against the wall a vending machine. And I want to ask you about that. We didn't have time, but how could a vending machine print real-time ads for each user on the spot? And how close are we actually to that in the future?
So in the book, it's going to talk about 6 different free or negatively priced vending machine platforms. And it's very generic. It's like giving you the shell, because everyone who reads it, if they go that route, they're going to want to create their own engine for their own car. The 6th and most advanced vending machine is that. We're already working on it. So in the future, When you go to the free vending machine and you scan it, boop, it's going to print this label and apply it in real time. And that's going to be just for you. And that takes a high level of sophistication. It would be much easier before doing that in a vending machine that you did it in a factory or warehouse to make 6, 12, 24 packs, custom ads on cereal boxes, you name it. But at that same level, when you're doing that, now people who want to pay for their water, because some people are always going to want to pay for it still, now they could control the artwork. They could design those 3 layers. I think the ultimate flex in a future where 99% of the population is consuming free groceries is going to be that one person who prints their own face on the can, who has pictures of their family, who changes the ads all the time. Like skins in a video game. Video game's free, but some people pay to change the outfit on their character. So that's that most advanced vending machine. It's in the works. I think people could pull it off soon.
I think the truly successful people that starts a change. They ignite passion, they inform people about doing it, and then they inspire them how to continue. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from your book. In your book, you describe this as more than just a business model. You describe it as a movement. What kind of movement do you want to build with FreeWater?
We want to prove to the world that business ethics, which is like the fine line between making a profit and doing the right thing, that bar could be raised exponentially. I think in the past, like a brand like Patagonia was considered like the premier of the tip top of business ethics. And I believe that in the future, they're not even going to register. And so the movement that we want to be the catalyst for is free and negatively priced products worldwide, and to prove to the world that you don't have to choose between making a profit or doing the right thing, that doing the right thing is the most profitable thing that you can do. And that's the movement we want to start. Brands or startups or major corporations that care more about the customers, care more about their quality, care more about charity, the environment, but can still earn more profits.
Taking that idea, okay, and I love philanthropic movements for positive change. Okay, so let's live in this world. So what would happen if thousands of people around the world, which you're trying to do, all launch their own free product companies? What do you think is going to happen?
I think about 1,000 have already attempted it, but again, with all business, people fail and die, and I saw a lot of people, failing a lot faster, which is why I made this book to help people. When thousands of people do this, eventually 1 in 1,000, 1 in 500 is going to become this tens of millions, hundreds of millions, $1 billion company, and the world will be changed forever.